I just want
here.
to rock, rock, rock. What you know about that? You don't know about that? That's a smash right now. That's a smash right now. I just want to rock, 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 rock. Jesse, no.
This dude don't know who he talking to sometimes, man. I swear for everything, this dude
You
don't
don't
know who
know
he
about
talking
that
to
little
The,
sometimes.
little
the
Uzi.
song is hot out right now, but I don't get it though.
No, it's very weird. It's like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
It's not very long. He says 7
It's like a
words.
commercial jingle. And then it's over. Ham, you know what we're talking about, don't you?
Nope.
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 Yeah, your favorite little Uzi Vert song.
Your favorite, your top 3 little Uzi Vert songs. Favorite little Uzi Vert songs.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, James will probably wind up at his concert at some point, so it'll be
I
fun.
I did see the Prince episode of the Chappelle Show, the game blouses.
Okay,
Yeah.
just for the record, that didn't come out of nowhere. We were talking about that during the commercial break. So for those who are just tuning in, that remark didn't come out anywhere. Yeah, the basketball episode is classic. It came back to life with one of De'Aaron, with that like dunk where De'Aaron was
on the Utah.
just like hanging in the air and brought the ball down and back up, and he had the game blouses look on his face
Yep.
as he stayed up there for a little bit. Official and proper introduction, our 1320 Kings insider and creator of the Kings Beat, James Ham, kind enough to join us here on this go home hour of the show. We'll start with Kings stuff. Obviously, they head out on this 7-game road trip beginning in Minnesota. 7 games, 14 days, I think, beginning in Minnesota tomorrow night. And lots of conversation about all-star starters and all-star voting. We're all pretty confident Domas is getting in, even though most of us believe he should have been a starter. But man, given that Zion got the nod, it's all going to be a question of whether the coaches go for Devin Booker's 29 games or not, or De'Aaron Fox's 40 plus.
Yeah, it's weird. Like when you really break it down and you look at all the games missed, and it's not only games missed, but it's like minutes played, right? So I think that's something that we've heard a lot of this year, where Domas has played, I think it's 600 or 700 minutes more this year than Zion. Like it's not even close. And Zion is exciting and he's fun, but Domas is an MVP candidate, and Zion just isn't. Like you can't play 60 games a year or 55 games a year or take a season off and still be in that conversation. So I like the fan voting thing. To me, it's always a joke. We always have these players that don't have any business being in the top 10. I mean, I think Austin Reeves still finished in the top 10. Like there's a bunch of players who finished that they shouldn't have been really even considered. But I also think player voting is a complete joke. Like some of these players just, they're so disrespectful to the process. And we're seeing, like not to be like Matthew Dellavedova shouldn't get an all-star nominee from the players. And I think he had 2. And that's, that's just, it speaks to like a very disrespectful process. And I want the guys who make the all-star team to be representative of the best in the league. And, if you look at the cumulative between the fan voting, the player voting, and the media voting, both Fox and Sabonis should be in. They're both They're both number 6 in their respective field. I guess Fox would be like a question mark whether he gets in or not, because it's whether you took 2 guards as your bonus players. But they're both in the top 12 basically, and so realistically, it's going to be tough for both Kings players to get in because Sabonis wasn't voted in. I think it would have been easier for Fox to get in if Sabonis was a starter than if he's not. But who knows? Like we're gonna have to wait and see what's gonna happen. Like if they don't get either one of them in, like that's just the biggest travesty of all time. I mean, Sabonis is like literally like the 3rd most impactful player in the NBA this season. Like what his numbers, what he's doing on the court is incredible. Win shares does actually matter. Like it's a category that you should look at when you're looking at all-star potential or MVP potential, and the guy is just incredible what he's been able to do this season.
Yeah. So James, you talked about how we all, and I agree with you. The fan voting is a mess sometimes, and even the player voting is a mess. From your experiences, are the coaches at the least taking it like seriously and giving it real thought, or are they just as bad as the players?
No, I think the coaches do take it serious. I mean, because these are the guys that game plan for the player that's gonna, like if you've played Sabonis this year, you know how good number one Sabonis is, but number two how good the Kings are. Like there's no question. Like you come out of the game going, okay, that was a tough fought battle. That's not your last 16 year Sacramento Kings team. So I think the coaches will take it a little more serious. I've heard that like, on occasion you'll have a coach who hands it off to like an assistant coach to do. Um, you'll have. I think it's possible that players have like locker room attendants fill out stuff. Like there's been rumors of just some like shenanigans and stuff, but the coaches you would think would have a stricter process when it comes to it. And then on top of that, I think if there's an injury, doesn't that go directly to Adam Silver? Doesn't he make that decision?
Yes.
And then Adam Silver usually, historically, goes right off of the main list. Like he goes, well, he was the next in line. So I still think that there's going to be a couple of all-star
Austin Reeves, come on down.
Yeah.
Congratulations, buddy.
That would be wild.
I don't think Adam.
If he went off the list like that.
So Adam selects the replacement, and I believe the coach, if it's assuming Zion doesn't play, Adam selects the replacement. The coach selects the starter.
Yeah. And then you would have the situation too where we don't know if like there's a couple of players. Luka rolled his ankle, but looks like he's going to be more day to day than anything else. But Zion, if Booker makes it, will Booker play? If Anthony Davis makes it, will Anthony Davis be healthy that week or be out for 3 weeks like he keeps doing to my fantasy basketball team? Yeah, I mean, you just don't know like whether they'll be available to play or not.
Man, it's next Thursday. I guess we put all this to bed.
I think they both make it though, man. I do.
I
think
hope
they
so.
both get there.
I think it'd be fun if they both make it. I mean, the Kings, they deserve a little pat on the back for what's happening. And it's not like Fox. Fox has been a fringe all-star for a couple of years. It's not like he's coming out of nowhere and no one knew who he was before, and all of a sudden he's Lauri Markkanen and this thing, and like decided to become a basketball player at 25. Like Fox has been really, really good for a couple of years. Was it 2 years ago? He averaged 25 a game. So you're kind of wondering what's going to happen. But, like at the same time, I don't expect anything because as someone who's covered the team for a long time, like DeMarcus Cousins deserved to be in the All-Star game at least a year before he made it, and probably 2. He was that good, but that's a whole nother story too. Like there are other things that go into being an all-star and being representative of not only your city but the league at a major event like that.
Well, the timing of the Slam magazine can't hurt.
Right.
I mean, I know Max told us that hits your newsstand next week. It's like that's right when votes are being cast by the coaches, and that magazine is out there for everyone to see.
The more I think about this thing, the more I think Adele's boo was out here. He been working. I feel like he been working.
And Rich Paul was working
because my man Max was like, I don't know, we just got a call.
You called that man. You called that man Adele's boo.
Well, that's Adele's boo.
Well, that's Rich Paul.
Oh, he's Rich Paul too, but he's Adele's boo.
All right.
He's Rich Paul. I like Rich Paul, but
I haven't heard you call Tom Brady Giselle's boo.
Well, that's because he's not.
Saying
he's about to be Las Vegas's boo here pretty soon. Some wild cell phone videos of Tom Brady next season. Tom Brady out here getting over his marriage like Morris Chestnut was in The Best Man final chapter.
Getting over his marriage or relationship like Nia Long is.
Oh,
Nia
my.
Long out here living life.
Hey,
go ahead, Nia, do what you do.
I ain't even mad at him.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. I feel like, we're seeing a little bit of the Clutch Sports influence with De'Aaron and, some of the national exposure going on here with the Slam magazine, and Taylor Rooks was out here and had a segment on TNT. So I think maybe those things might be helping for this all-star push, maybe for De'Aaron and Sabonis. Well, Sabonis not with Clutch, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would really like it if the league would help out and just maybe put the game on TNT.
Don't
That'd
be
be good.
ridiculous. Don't
Yeah,
be
maybe. Yeah, or require that that the local station actually puts a game on when it's supposed to.
That'd be good too.
Wow.
That'd be good too. Is that a league
That's
called not
crazy.
the NBC shade there at the end, which I applaud because I know many fans are really frustrated. But is that a league call or a network call? Do you know?
Oh, that's a league call. Like the
Oh,
league
okay.
decides who does. Oh,
Obviously
okay.
they do initially, but when they switched out the Rockets and the Kings, was that
Yeah.
the league that said, "Hey, get the Rockets and the Kings off and put on"? I think it was Suns Denver or something like that. Nice little 30-point blowout.
I'd have to look at my like who sends me the emails, but I'm almost positive they all come from directly from the NBA. They manage the master schedule and who goes up and who goes down.
Sure.
Yeah, they control a lot of the pulse of what's happening. Yeah, and the good thing would be if that happened, then I wouldn't get a bunch of tweets about the game not being on. So
There was one particular tweet I found funny. You wrote, "Keep in mind, I don't work there anymore. Please save your
vitriol.
vitriol for someone else." And then someone replied, "Wait, where do you work then?" James Ham is not a guest of NBC Sports Council. James Ham is with us. They just get all this. Hey, James, he's covering the Kings. Of course, he works for NBC. No, he stopped doing that a year ago.
You never know. You never know. You could be a new show to somebody that didn't even know you existed. New station, everything. Never know.
I don't know. I was just trying to help out, and then that was a bad idea. I still have people sending me zip codes to my Twitter handle. Like,
Well, you thank your friends at NBC for that, right? Because didn't they say, "Hey, where's the problem?" And you tweeted that.
I literally got a response back to a text. Well, someone in the area's parents are watching the game and they're not having any problems. Can you ask for zip codes? And I'm like, I'll ask for zip codes, but I am not sending you zip codes. You guys have to go to my Twitter feed and actually pull the zip codes yourself. And that's kind of what happened. Yeah.
You're still getting zip
95814. Thanks,
This was
Soren
Monday.
Smith.
Yeah, this was
Still getting zip codes.
this was Monday.
That's
Just
crazy.
send us your zip code, and James will go check on any. James will go check on any issues you have.
That's right. That's right.
It's funny we're talking about TV in the video portion of the Slam article. They kind of mentioned that because I think Max might have asked them like, is there anything you want people to, around the country to know about the Kings? And De'Aaron goes, well, they just took our national TV game last night. That was a good game last night. They could have saw us last night. So it's funny. I thought it was funny to see that because you often hear like, oh, we don't even pay attention to that stuff. No, they knew.
Yeah.
They took our opportunity to be on national TV, and they weren't happy about it.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of criminal to do in the buildup and while fan voting is going on. Like, why would you take away their opportunity to be shown on national TV? That doesn't make any sense. You should be embracing these guys as really the feel-good story of your year. I mean, as of right now, Mike Brown is probably your NBA Coach of the Year. And if he's not, it's really close. And then on top of that, Monty McNair is in the running for NBA Executive of the Year without any question. And then you've got basically two guys that should be all-stars, one that will be an all-star and one that may or may not be an all-star. You got a guy who's going to finish probably second or third in Rookie of the Year, who will be in the Rising Stars Challenge. Like, it's not just that the Kings are actually winning games and stuff, but they do have like marketable pieces that things like this matter. Yeah. And there's something else that people, I'm not sure. Like, I used to have this conversation with Scott Howard Cooper. Scott Howard Cooper, Scoop, NBA.com, and Sacramento Bee Forever. He hated to vote for any of these awards because you're actually impacting people's salary. Like, if some of these players make an all-star team, their salary goes up a ton. But you could actually get, it could be the difference between someone getting a supermax contract and someone not getting a supermax contract.
Yeah.
So when Anthony Davis ended up making like third team All NBA when no one thought he would,
Yeah.
it made him eligible for a much larger extension, an additional year, and a whole bunch. Well, it went from, I think, 25% of the cap to 30% of the cap of the team salary cap. And so it's wild that like media members who cover somebody are actually part of rewarding or costing players money. And that's not the way it should be. Like
That's part of the frustrating thing with the players, though, too. If the players are voting, yeah, no shade, but guys like Delhi and Freeport as all-stars, it's like, yo, hold on. These are your brothers.
Yep.
Like, this is the
Yeah.
collective bargaining agreement that you agreed to.
Yeah.
You taking money out of these guys' pockets by doing that.
Keon
It's-
Ellis got a vote. And like, look,
Well,
I like Keon Ellis, and you
Oh.
know, I'm going to make Brendan Nunez get a tattoo, like, you know, because that's his guy. But he doesn't deserve an all-star vote, and that's not because he's not going to be a perfectly good player. It's that he's not an all-star. And so again, it's disrespectful. It's weird, but the whole process is weird, and how Adam Silver gets to say and who gets to replace somebody is weird, and like you know, who knows? Like we'll have to see how it all pans out in the end for the Kings and De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they're both making it. I do think they're both making it because what it came down to, and we don't know what they're thinking, but me and Damien are doing the exercise. You got the starters, next three forwards, Sabonis, AD, and who was the other one? Oh, Lauri Markkanen.
Mhm.
So those are three forwards. The two guards, Ja and Dame. Now you get into the wild cards. SGA is going to be on there. And it really came down to, even like injuries and all this other stuff aside, only eligible two after that, in my opinion, are Devin Booker and De'Aaron Fox. And now you got to ask yourself, are they going to give Devin Booker credit for the 29 games that he played, in disregard that he didn't play, you know, almost half the season so far? I think De'Aaron might get on that premise alone, that Devin Booker just hadn't played enough games.
Well, and you also have to look at fan ranking. De'Aaron Fox beat Devin Booker, 477,787 votes to 432,980. He also was number 5 in the player ranking to number 7 for Booker. His cumulative weighted score is 6.5 for the All-Star game, and Devin Booker's is 8. And they tied in media ranking for 5th, which is funny because everyone who didn't get a vote tied for 5th, because only 4 guys actually got a media starter vote, which is kind of strange, out of the guards. Yeah. So again, if you do say what you just went through the list, right? So if Ja and Shea make it, then I think it really does come down to Damian Lillard and De'Aaron Fox, because you know, we're talking about 2 bonus spots, right? After, so there's two starters.
Devin Booker played the same amount of games Zion did. That's why I can't get Devin Booker out of my head.
Yeah, but his team is below. Well, that's another thing. Look where his team is now, and his team is so low in the standings because he's not there. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So like on the forward side, Sabonis is, like, technically he should be in because you're going to take a guaranteed 3 forwards or 3 front court players, and he's the 6th after the top 3. You got Anthony Davis, you got Lauri Markkanen, and you have Domantas Sabonis in front of Paul George and Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green. And his cumulative score is the same exact score as Fox's, but his media score is a 3. So that means that almost all of the media members had him in their starting 5. And then he had 46 media votes. The only 2 that placed ahead of him was Jokic and LeBron James. He beat Zion. He beat everyone else in the front court. And so that should have something. But, you know, again, he finished 7th in fan voting. Oh, no. He finished, where are we? He finished 9th in fan voting. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Unrelated, but maybe not. Luka out tonight versus Utah.
The
Who we root for there?
Utah.
I think you vote for Utah because the long-term prognosis is Dallas is probably going to be a better team.
Exactly. You want to stack as many losses on Dallas as you can.
Okay.
Right
All
yeah.
right.
I didn't notice this till a second ago. Minnesota plays tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Memphis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first night of a back-to-back for Minnesota.
Ooh. They've been so hit and miss. You know, you just never know what you're getting out of that
They're
team
back
at
at
all.
500. I mean, I don't know. All I know is they are long, and they grow up.
But they aren't physical
Oh,
like Toronto.
That's what I was thinking. But Kenny's
Yeah.
a 13-year-old, so I have to
You were
navigate.
worried
that
he'd say
first.
something else there. Yeah.
He's a freaking child. But I think they struggled with Orlando, struggled with Toronto. Toronto was obviously significantly more physical.
But
Yeah, I mean,
with Toronto the first time.
They did.
I don't know how Toronto's that bad. Like I don't. Like the fact that
They got to be at war or something. Like there's got to be something in that locker room that's got them. It just doesn't add up to me. I don't get it. Like that team loaded with talent. But you said this, KC, you said this, and I thought it made sense that maybe they have too many of the same thing. Yeah. They got too many Aaron's Tyrese's, and like they need to go find their Domas trade that everyone can ridicule, and it turns them back into a contender.
Or their DeLon trade, got TT.
Yeah, it was great hearing Bobby Jarrell bring up DeLon Wright. Former King DeLon Wright would fit on the checks notes. Sacramento Kings. All right, there you have it.
But
I like DeLon Wright.
So did I. Yeah, I liked him a lot.
I don't.
Toronto's better. I feel like they're like who they lose to Washington. I didn't feel that way when they lost to Washington. I was like, dang, Washington's not that good. Toronto's a better team than their record indicates, I feel.
No.
Yeah, I totally feel that way. Like again, maybe they have too many like centers because at one point they had 3 centers on the court at one time. Like they went like super jumbo. So like OG Anunoby at 6'7" was the shortest guy on the court. And I don't even know. They didn't even have like a point guard on the floor. Maybe Scotty Barnes at like 6'9" was their point guard. Like it was crazy with like Chris Boucher and Precious Achua, and then throw out Siakam or whoever they were dropping in there. It was crazy tall team.
Yeah, and that's the one. Real quick, Damien. That's one of the things that I think about when people are like, "Oh, that was a preview of playoff basketball." Like the Kings, it's not going to work. Well, how many teams are rolling out what Toronto has?
Yeah, that's a unique squad.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 teams in the league.
That's a unique squad and a unique coach.
Absolutely. So,
I hate to say this. Is the Eastern Conference just way better than the West?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, is that what we're seeing?
That's very every like true title contender is in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not only the true title contenders. It's look at the teams that have beat the Kings that like you're disappointed that they lost to. They're all in the East. The one game is the Lakers and the Kings lost by 2, and it was on 2 silly mistakes. And like even that loss, they still beat the Lakers 3-1. But it sure does feel like all of a sudden, like even the cellar dwellers in the East are tough. Like that's a really good conference this year. And I don't know, like maybe it's the last 2 or 3 years that they've started to progress to take over, where the West was just the dominant conference for 2 decades, maybe even longer. But all of a sudden we're seeing a lot of really good, really interesting teams that are having to play against other really good teams in the East and are struggling. So yeah, I'm gonna guess that at the end of the year, the like East-West like split as far as who's the better conference is gonna be really skewed.
Only one checks notes Eastern Conference team on this road trip. We'll step out. We'll come back. We'll talk with James Ham about this Sacramento Kings 7-game road trip that begins tomorrow night in Minnesota. We'll do that when we return here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Oh, man.
We did the podcast last night, and I've been having trouble with it not posting to iTunes.
Really?
Yeah, it's still not posted to iTunes. I sent Podbean a note and said, like, hey, what's going on here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tuesday shows up.
Yeah, this is a fun little stretch for the Kings.
See what they can do.
Yep.
What are you doing this weekend, Hammer?
Well, we got a game on Saturday,
Yeah.
and then I will be firmly planted here watching the Niners game on Sunday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Recovery, man. Be honest with you. Like, what is this stretch that we just went through as far as home road? So going back to December 19th, 1, 2, 3, 4,
It was
5,
like 15
6.
out of 19. I think that's what I always kept saying, like 15 out of 20 or something like that.
15 out of 19. So the 15 out of 19, and the issue is that a lot of them were spaced out perfectly, where we were there every single day. So, like when you have this whole stretch where it's, they have Atlanta on a Wednesday, and then Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like all at home. Like that means I was at practice, like in that group. I think we had one day off between the Wednesday. So 1, 2, 3, at least 4 days of practice, 5 days of practice in that first stretch. So like there's so many. This team practices more than any team I've ever covered. They have shoot around every single game except for a back-to-back. And that's, again, you never see that. We got to with Luke where we were having like a 4 to 4:45 shoot around. And so no media availability. But when there's media availability for a shoot around, I'm there at 10:30 in the morning. So
What is
it's
the
really long days.
what does a shoot around consist of? Like shooting, but like is it like them going 50%, half speed, just getting shots up, or are there like different more intense type shoot arounds?
No, okay. So shoot around like it typically is like a really good walkthrough, some conversations about tendencies of the other team, like some basic, like you're gonna run through your play sets. Maybe you add something that morning that you think will work really well against a team. Maybe you add like 3 things on each side of the basketball, but it's all like half speed or quarter speed and more walkthrough type, and a lot of conversations. And then they really do like get their blood pumping for a few minutes, get a bunch of shots up. This team in particular, this coaching group in particular, they do a lot of like games, not 5-on-5, but like we see competitions between a starting group and a secondary group on 2 different courts where they're shooting. The other day we had them, like they would almost do like musical chairs where like they would play the music and then stop and then like start up again and change positions and stuff. Yeah, so just some like fun things just to break it up, but a lot of shooting, a lot of competition for shooting. No contact though.
Hey, you know what I just thought of? When did we, as a society, as a basketball community, when did we decide to use the singular phrase of scout? Like, oh yeah, that's my scout, as opposed to I have the scouting report. Like, when did that happen? Now everybody says scout. Like, hey,
Yeah.
scout. What?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
happened to
like
scout?
I know early in the season, like Doug Christie had the scout for 2 games in a row where the Kings snuck up and beat somebody.
Who did he had? Because Damian was talking about it, and it was a good game. It was a good win. Was it the Nets?
Maybe
Did
it
he
was.
report for that game?
Did he have what?
Doug Christie. Did he have Damien's not listening to
Oh no, he had Memphis.
Memphis.
He had Memphis on Monday.
No, early in the season. Because remember you said you went.
He
up and
had
talked to him
no. Yeah, it was Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. It was Brooklyn.
Shy to man, I think there is actually a scouting report. They do actually have, like, they do fill out a scouting report, and whether it's like handed to you or it's on a iPad or whatever, like you go through tendencies. Like someone is breaking down tendencies of everyone.
Kevin Durant do that. Kevin Durant on the interview. Yeah, then we got to go. I have to go in the scout. And we get the scout for the night. And like what? What happened to scouting report?
That's funny.
Hold on, James. Well, the things that get you worked up are pretty funny.
And now I feel like I hear them say any NBA player say scout at least once a week, and I'm like, where did this come from?
Well, since we're talking scouts and coaches and all of that stuff, I guess now would be a good time. Been trying to get like a couple of things ironed out here during the show, but we're comfortable enough in saying Lindsey Harding's going to join us next week. Right now, it looks like Lindsey Harding's going to join us Monday.
Okay.
The plan right now is for Lindsey to be with us on Monday. Matter of fact, I'm lying to everybody. None of this is true. Lindsay's going to be with us. What day is she supposed to be with us? What's today? Oh, no. Monday. Right? When's Lindsay going to be with us?
Do we have a number?
What's the date?
Today's the 27th.
No, the 6th. Lindsay will be with us the 6th. That's what we're working on. She'll be with us Monday, February. She'll be with us in Houston 1 week from Monday. Yeah, the whole thing was Houston. I was like, wait, they're not in Houston on Monday. They're in Minnesota. Yeah. 1 week from Monday, Lindsey Harding's will be with us.
Nice.
That's amazing.
We've been working on that one for a while, so I'm excited about that.
She's a good lady. I like Lindsay. Yeah.
Very good. Great ball player, too.
No, I'm about to say, I love her as a coach, but I loved her as a ball player. Like she could go. She could hoop. Absolutely.
7 road games coming up, James, over the course of the next 14 days or so. We had mentioned Minnesota, first night of a back-to-back for them, as they've got Memphis tonight, and then they'll take on the Sacramento Kings. And, James, it's the first time that the T-Wolves and Kings have played all year.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, you've already played the Lakers 4 times, and you've never played the T-Wolves.
Right.
And, have the Kings and Suns played? Maybe once?
Yeah, one time. One game at Golden One Center.
Yeah, the Kings are running out of teams that they haven't played, right? I think almost...
New Orleans is the other one that they play on this road trip. They haven't played them yet.
Yeah. They have one against New Orleans. And you said that they have one Eastern Conference team on this 7-game trip, and it's Indiana, who can't win without Tyrese. Mm-hmm. And Tyrese won't be
targeted
back.
An early February return. So take that for what you will. But he targeted he's like, I think it'll be good the first week of February. Well, coincidentally enough, the Sacramento Kings will play the Pacers in the first week of February.
Yeah, we'll see if he's back or not. Yeah, I haven't, like, it kind of seems like he won't be. Like, this is a really good opportunity to build on this road trip. I mean, you'd hope that at a minimum you'd split in Minnesota. You got San Antonio, which is a must-win. You've got Indiana, which is a must-win. You got New Orleans, which is like a 50-50. And then what do you finish it off with the 2 games against Houston? Did I miss one team in the middle?
Did you mention New Orleans?
Yeah. You got New Orleans, and then you finish it with 2 games in Houston. One of them is on the second night of a back-to-back after New Orleans. But still, like, we had Trey Lyles in the locker room the other night, who we were joking around about the podcast with this, but Trey Lyles keeps getting, like, quieter and quieter. I don't know what's happening. It's like we got to a point where he was almost whispering in the locker room, or just kind of like you have the mic like right next to his face. You're like, okay, man, you got to speak up. I'm not sure what's happening. But he actually said, yeah, we're going on this trip, and we actually think there's a possibility we could get all 7.
Oh,
I'm just like, that's like when Harrison Barnes the other day said, well, if we're going to play for home court, and I'm like, wait, did you just say home court? And he just smiled. He's like, yeah, I said home court. Like, okay.
These boys are wild in
Yeah,
this.
Yeah. Okay, King Show.
not a very Harrison Barnes move right there.
Yeah, I was kind of caught off guard. I'm like, come on, man. What? Like, we've been here before, Harrison.
Wait till the end of the year when he drops on when he drops on you. Yeah, we'll see what we can do next year together, and then just walks off and leaves.
Yeah, I think someone asked him if he's going to do a playoff or bust beard again, because you remember the one year he did that, and it became like the worst gag ever because it just kept going. But then he was able to get, I think he got Gillette on board, like so when he did shave, he got a sponsor to shave, and then I interviewed him and they sent me stuff. I'm like, what in the world is happening here? Yeah, I may have got some free razors out of that one.
Covering Harrison Barnes.
Thank you, Harrison Barnes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the road trip the same way. Maybe not all 7, but I mean, it is about as friendly of a 7-game road trip as you're ever going to see in the NBA on paper, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the game. But, you got, I said, and I'm not alone, a lot of people said, I'd be disappointed if they didn't come back at least 4-3, over 500 on this road trip, especially considering what I think of this team. I think this team is good. I think it's a playoff team, all that other good stuff. So, you should be able to go on the road against this group and hopefully come back over 500.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, it's got to be, like, at a minimum is 4-3. And if you go 4-3, that means you come back from the trip and you're still 8 games over 500. And that would be really impressive because there's 7 right now, right? So if you come back 8 games over 500, that's huge. But then if you can somehow go 5-2, you can somehow go 6-1. Like, just look at how much you're building capital for the rest of the season. Like, 6-1 is 5 games over 500. So you're looking at 12 games over 500 on the season. Like, that's tremendous stuff. Like, no one would expect that this team would ever get to that height. As far as like games over, but like at this point, like go for broke. You got to build up some sort of equity in these stretches here where the schedule's soft. And what is it? 1, maybe 2 games over 5, 2 teams over 500 on the trip.
No, it's 1. It's the Pelicans, but as it stands right now, that could certainly change tonight. Yeah. The T-Wolves are at 500.
At 500, yeah. So if they lose tonight, you're going to face one team that's over 500 on the trip.
I don't like this.
And
Minnesota.
do they have Zion?
No, Minnesota tough, man.
No, they do not. They do not have
situation.
Zion. They do not.
How long is Zion out? Is he even going to play in the All-Star game?
He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let alone
like
he's going to be reevaluated the day before the All-Star game and then go start.
That's such an embarrassment for the league. Like, how do you like? If it's a guy who's been there,
media. Like, it's the media and the players who voted him. Like, they're the ones who should be embarrassed.
Yeah, but he didn't get the votes that Sabonis got. Like, we already went through that. Like, the media, I don't think was nearly as big as the players.
Well, Zion came from somewhere. Yeah, his votes came from somewhere.
Coaches
yeah, so Zion in the fan voting, he was 4th. Media, he had 29 votes, but again, Sabonis had 46. And so, he was 4th.
That means it was the players that did it.
It was the players.
Yeah. The player rank, he was 3rd. And the player rank, for some reason, the players ranked Markkanen number 4 and Sabonis number 5. So the cumulative score, he had a 3.75 cumulative score, and Sabonis had a 6.5. So, yeah.
It's getting ridiculous.
Really ridiculous. Hey, the one thing I was going to say about this road trip and moving forward, because it had me thinking the whole season moving forward. James, this is what happens. We talked about a little bit earlier. This is what happens when you do your work early, when you put your money in the bank. One way to look at this whole thing, if the Kings play 500 basketball the rest of the way, finish the season 7 games over 500. You don't have to be great the rest of the way. Play 500 basketball the rest of the way. 7 games over 500. That probably even gets you a home court advantage playoff game or playoff series.
Okay, so what would that put their final record?
Not doing that.
That's your job, Ham, not ours.
That's the Davis grad to do that. Not
44 and 38. I don't think you can finish 7, right?
You can't finish 7 games over?
No, you got to either be. It's got to
Oh, yeah,
be. uh,
they're on an odd number of games right now, so they can't play
Yeah, it's
5.
got to be an even number, right? So, yeah, that would be 44 wins would be 6.
I mean, I'll take that too. Let us be
Yeah.
over 500. I'll take that.
Yeah, they're pacing right now. I think I looked it up again yesterday. I think they're pacing right now for 47 wins as far as their win percentage. And that's what I was telling Sean and Brendan when we were on the pod the other day. I kind of feel like they're more true to their win percentage than any team that I've seen, as opposed to just like how many games over 500. Because there's a big difference between like a 580 win percentage when there's only 40 games and when there's 80, 82 in the books. Like I think that they can keep growing. I did not think that early in the season. So yeah, it should be interesting. I still think like the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, we went back and like 2 years ago, the 3rd seed in the West in a 72 game season had 147, but that equates to like 53 wins. So if you're going to be the 3rd seed and right now you're pacing for 47 wins, that doesn't equate. Like you typically need 53, 54 wins as the 3rd seed. You don't sneak in with 46 wins or 47 wins.
I don't like this Minnesota matchup. Something about it that just leaves me a little anxious.
Rudy Gobert questionable tonight.
Well, see, now I'm really nervous. If Rudy Gobert's not there, like they might be tough with Rudy Gobert out. I don't. And maybe it's just the unknown of having not played them yet, thinking they were going to be something they are clearly not headed into the season, and believing like they got some ball players over there. They don't. Maybe the combination of the ball players doesn't work, but they got some ball players over there, and they're in the midst of this moment where it's like, are we going to turn this around or not?
Right.
And they've got Memphis tonight. Memphis has looked a certain way since Steven Adams has been out. We'll see how that goes for them. And then the 2 games against Sacramento on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's an interesting matchup. And then of course our guy Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like D'Angelo Russell's played really well lately. So that's the guy that I'm looking at.
We all have
Gosh,
memories
no.
of D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, that guy has penned
tired.
some massive games against the Kings in his career. And Kyle Anderson has hurt the Kings quite a few times, which I don't understand. I mean, I think it's just because no one understands how you play in slow motion and do what he does. You're sitting there trying to like hit the 1.5 times button the whole time he's dribbling. What is happening? Why is he going so slow? Yeah, that team it has some players that historically have done okay against the Kings. Specifically, I mean, Russell's just killed the Kings a bunch of times.
Yeah, I'm with you, Damian. And I think it is because we haven't seen him against the Kings, so to speak. But you said it, James. There's talent on the roster. There's talent there, and they're just. I was going to say they're just as baffling as Toronto, maybe less baffling, but the way we look at Toronto, we look at that roster like, man, they shouldn't be 5-6 games under 500. Timberwolves, you would think probably should be a game or two better than what they are right now. So
some people, I ain't going to say who, thought they'd be a lot better than they are.
That wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Did you say that?
Hey, I like Jaden McDaniels. They have some players. They have some players I like. Ant-Man is fun. The Kings are gonna have to figure out that one. That again is where I would like. Man, if KZ Okpala could actually step in and play some minutes, that would actually be interesting.
Is there a reason that he can't?
No, he's with the team. Yeah, he went to Stockton and played yesterday to stretch his legs. So maybe that's why. Because you're about to go up against a couple of teams that have a ton of length, and so you're going up at. He could go play Ant-Man. He could go play against McDaniels. There's some players in Minnesota that you might need him to go up against. So yeah,
Minnesota, and that's where the San Antonio game comes. Is right after that one, right? San Antonio, then Indiana.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then New Orleans. And then finish it off, and then they come back and they have that really weird home and home back to back to back against Luca. The Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good now. We could pack the Golden One Center and go at the one that got away. And who knows? I mean, where are they right now?
They won last night, so I think they might be back in the top 6.
Yeah, they did the Kings a favor last night and beat the Suns.
That was a weird who
26 and
root for
24.
Right there. I think I was going for I think I was going for Dallas. Needed Phoenix to slow down a little bit. They had won 4 in a row. Stop feeling good about yourselves. Needed that loss. I think that's where I was going.
Yeah. I mean, the Kings, realistically, they're so close to all these other teams. Like, you got New Orleans, you got the Clippers, you got the New Orleans and the Clippers are only 2 games back. And then you got this group of teams at like 2.5 with Dallas, 3.5 with the Suns, the Warriors, and Timberwolves. And then the Jazz are 10 or are 4 games back. Like, it's a really, really tight competition. But like we keep saying this, the Kings are the only Western Conference team that's 2 games over 500 on the road. There's only one other team that's 500 on the road or better, and that's the Nuggets. Everyone else is, the Clippers just moved to 13-13, so they're 500. But that's huge. You got some confidence going in there. You know that you can actually, go out and win on the road, which is strange for this team. And then something crazy, like there's only 13 home games left, 14 home games left on the season, and there's only 3 in the month of February.
Yeah.
Yeah, February, they ain't never seeing home.
Yeah.
3 home games back to back on one of them. And yeah, then you back out on the road for a while.
We're all Raptors fans tonight, though. Got the Warriors.
Oh, yeah. Let's go, Chris Boucher.
Man, is he skinny.
That's my boy.
Come on, guys. Come on, Raptors. You string together some wins here, guys.
I need to holler at Rico. Rico, get these boys ready, man.
String together some wins, man.
Yeah. They on a West Coast trip, huh? Was that the start of it? The Kings?
Yeah, that was the first game of their road trip. Yeah,
the Kings.
Know who follows it besides
the Kings really need Sabonis to stop turning the ball over. That's another.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah, he's got 17 turnovers in the last 2 games combined, and then
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, like 4 games ago he had 6. So like he's averaging like 6.8 turnovers over his last 4.
Why do you think that's happening? Why are these turnovers hitting him in like bunches this way?
Well, I think the biggest issue is that you play two teams that have, super, super long aggressive defenders. And they just kept throwing double teams and other looks. You look at Memphis, you look at Toronto, they both have like the ability to kind of attack you. And teams are going to start trying to take away Sabonis' ability to pass. Just because that's how he's just tearing through teams. I mean, the 3-point shots that were going in the one game, like it's really impressive to watch when this team is rolling. But it's all predicated on Sabonis, like, basically orchestrating an incredible offense. And teams are going to start, throwing the kitchen sink at him, and he's got to make adjustments, especially with that bad thumb. He still has the bad thumb, and, until that thing gets all the way healed up, which we don't even know if that'll happen this season, he's always going to be vulnerable to having those stretches where he does turn the ball over a bunch.
Don't like that. Clean that up, DeMontis. Hey, we were asking this question for the last 2 days. Well, last day, because some people were kind of freaking out over what happened on Wednesday night. But are the Kings a good team?
It's something that we've discussed. Like both Brendan and Sean have said yes, and I think they are, but I've been through this too many times. So, like we always joke that like I have Stockholm syndrome when it comes to this team. You just like it's hard to really buy in fully until we get to not just the All-Star break, but like if they go like 6-1 or 5-2 on this trip, and all of a sudden they're 10 or 11 or 12 games over 500, maybe then I will say, yes, I believe they're a good team. But it only takes 2 minutes for this team or a 5-game stretch for this team to be like at the 10 seed because that's how the standings are.
That ain't happening.
Well, I don't think it will either. But
like even if they have a bad 5-game stretch, the other 7 teams below them aren't having good 5-game stretches. They have a bad 5-game stretch, they'll probably be in 6th.
I'm not convinced, though, that there's not going to be like 2 or 3 teams and the group of teams that we always talk about. It's going to be the Clippers. It's going to be the Warriors, maybe Dallas. Like there's this group of teams that just are the Suns that are underperforming and then all of a sudden could like pop right back up and go right back to who they were before and jump right over you. And that's just like, again, I think we've talked about this too. Like you want to be a team that's on the rise while these other teams are on their downward spiral. And I think the Kings are primed to be in that situation. And they kind of jump back into line where they should have been with Memphis and New Orleans as the teams that are coming up, as the Lakers, the Warriors, the Spurs, the Trailblazers, all those guys are coming down after years and years of making the playoffs. So I think there's a door that's opening for the Kings that's coming up. And even you can throw the Clippers in there. Their window is very much closing. And I think the Kings are in a position where even if they can make one more move to get them over the top where you cement yourself for the next 5 years as a contender in the West, that would be pretty cool.
Okay, quick exercise to end the show, and it'd be real quick. Is Memphis good?
Yes.
Is Denver good?
Yes.
Yes.
Cleveland?
Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Brooklyn?
Yes.
They're hit and miss, but yeah, barring injury, yes.
Milwaukee? Is Milwaukee good?
Yes.
Great. They're
Are
great.
the 76ers good?
Yes.
Yes.
Are the Celtics good?
Yes.
Excellent.
Great. In addition to the Kings, those are all the teams 7 games above 500.
The bad
There you
teams
go.
are at the Kings.
But somehow we managed to start right there.
But
with
somehow
that.
those
On that
teams
note,
have done it more years than just
We're
one.
going home. I'm not tolerating this. Downer ham is not creeping in here on a Friday.